So I'm Indira, she, her pronouns, and I live near Woodstock, New York. I love facilitating for Good Grief Network, and I have a background, most recently teaching yoga, yoga philosophy, and A Course in Miracles. And Becky, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Becky. I use she, her pronouns, based in Bristol in the UK, and involved in Good Grief Network because of wanting to work more with ways to respond to the predicament that we find ourselves in. So, my background's in psychology and psychotherapy and mindfulness. And I did some flow facilitation training with Indira last year, and that is how we know each other. Thanks,
Thank
Indira.
you, Becky. So we have someone who's just arriving. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background on Good Grief Network. For those of you who don't know, it's a nonprofit organization based in the US, and it brings people together to metabolize collective grief, echo distress, and other heavy emotions that arise in response to the polycrisis that we're living in right now. Um, GGN, as they're known, runs peer-to-peer support groups that help folks recognize, feel, and process their heavy emotions so that these feelings can be transformed into meaningful action. The journaling program is an opportunity for us all to explore our thoughts, feelings around any number of issues which we could be experiencing during these tumultuous times. These could include climate change, the situation regarding the wars in the world, our feelings of helplessness or hopelessness. Um, and there's no right or wrong way to journal, to be part of this program. We believe that journaling can be both a reflective tool, but also cathartic and especially beneficial to be in community to share the exploration. Community is a very big part of the Good Grief Network and what we aim to do. Um, so there are a lot of different ways to explore journaling, and we'll be sharing those with you. Becky and I were facilitating pop-up journaling programs for Good Grief Network, and we're very happy that they offered us the opportunity to do this 2-month long program, um, in which you will get 3 prompts a week, which we'll email to you. And you'll also have access to the Mighty Network, which we'll show you later when we're talking a little bit more about logistics, where we will have a private space, a kind of circle for us to meet on a daily basis. And you can share your feelings, your even your journaling and reflections, whatever you want, as long as it's, decent on Mighty Networks. And we are also monitoring that on a daily basis, and we'll interact with you. In addition to that, we listened to the feedback from previous journaling groups, and so we've added this embodied session aspect to the journaling program. And we'll meet about every 2 weeks on Zoom to share in the process and be in community with each other and support each other. Um, and those dates for the embodied session we'll put up in the chat, but they're Friday, May 10th. And those times will be 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 ET, and 5 BST. And the second one will be Wednesday, May 29th. The times will be a little different, 12 p.m. for PT, 3 p.m. ET, 8 p.m. BST. The third one is Tuesday, June 11th, 12 PT, 3 ET, and 8 p.m. BST. And the last one, well, we'll meet together, is Sunday, June 30th, and that'll be 9 PT, 12 noon ET, and 5 p.m. BST. And so we hope that you will join us for this Good Grief Network journaling program. We'd love to have you. Um, and our hope is to build personal resilience, empowerment, and strengthen community ties through this fellowship. The group is not a therapy program, though it can be therapeutic. And it's not a space to dwell on heavy emotions. Instead, it's a place to cultivate love, support, and growth focused on collective grief and probable systems collapse. We seek to find the delicate balance between unrealistic optimism and nihilistic pessimism. We who live with an understanding of climate injustice, the loss of our imagined future, ecocide. We who live with these feelings, and it's hard. I mean, it's courageous for you to be here today and to be dealing with these issues, are perhaps understanding things in the way few people do. We know the world is full of grief and suffering. We feel it and want to practice methods to cope and transform and invest our energy in meaningful ways. It's true that many of us also don't have a community where we can share these feelings. Family and friends are sometimes resistant to hearing what's on our minds. Our goal here is to offer an opportunity to you to build resilience that is empowering in order to face the challenges of these overwhelming systemic issues without succumbing to numbness, without succumbing to despair or to denial. This work is about embracing and navigating vulnerability. Our heavy human emotions are tough to carry, and the pain of living in a destructive culture is also hard. So we're hoping that through this we can share in community all these feelings. So that was a lot of information. We're unfortunately going to have to read a bit today to you, but we hope that you'll find this interesting information and that it will inspire you to join us. So Becky is going to take over now.
Thank you, Indira. We're just going to allow you to kind of speak if you want to, or put something in the chat a little bit about yourself, just to give us an idea of who you are. And I've got it, just a very, very brief check-in. So we've got some prompts here. If you could just tell us your name, the pronouns that you use, and where you are based in the world. And then we've got some questions that you can answer any of these as part of your check-in very briefly. Nice simple questions. What time of day do you like to journal, or where do you like to journal? And if you've not journaled before, also okay, just one thing that you hope to get from journaling. I'll put those in the chat. And you can either shout that out if you're happy to, or put it in the chat yourself. Yeah.
I'll start. My name is Polly Chandler. I'm in the north of San Francisco Bay Area. I have taken this program before. All the fires in California is what led me to come to the programs. It was just didn't know how to process what was going on in California. So I found it enormously helpful. I actually did it a second time. And I enjoyed the prompts. I would do the writing whenever I had time during my day. If I needed a break at work, I would just kind of spend 10, 15 minutes to kind of put my mind on something else. And I'm not sure I need to do it again, but you had said there was going to be something different about this offering that I thought I would at least listen for a little bit, see what was different. It was enormously helpful for me, particularly during that rather bleak California fire season, and I am a she, her pronoun. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Polly.
Thank you, Polly.
Thank you, Jessica, Harper, and Monica, for what you've written in the chat. Can everybody see that? Anybody else want to check in?
Okay.
I can go really quick. I was gonna type it, but I could just talk.
Sure.
I'm Natalie. Yeah. I use she, her pronouns. I'm in northern Wisconsin, Minnesota area on the kind of on the border between the two. So on the coast of Lake Superior. And I would say that I like to journal more in the morning, kind of on the weekends, especially before things start happening, kind of what other folks have said too. So thanks.
Thank you, Natalie.
Natalie.
So we've got a mixture of mornings and evenings, and not journaling before, so that's a nice, a good kind of range of experiences there. Yeah. Thanks very much. Okay. So we're going to move on to explain a little bit more about the journaling process. Let's see. I've got a quote actually that I'm going to put in the chat. And it goes, if you begin to understand what you are without trying to change it, then what you are undergoes a transformation. And that's a quote from Jiddu Krishnamurti. There we go. Yeah. So I guess just to give a little bit of a background about why, one of the reasons why being with feelings and addressing that aspect of our experience feels important to us at GGN. I suppose to start, it's just to acknowledge that we live in a culture that's deemed some of our feelings acceptable and others more taboo. A lot of us have received messages that it's inappropriate to share honestly with other people, especially if it's heavy or painful feelings. And perhaps because of that, there can be a tendency maybe to get into thinking our emotions rather than actually feeling them and being with them. But what we're aware of is that when we can feel the full range of our emotions and respond to them with some acceptance and compassion, we then have more capacity to work to turn towards difficulty, which might include those systemic predicaments that we're facing collectively. Feelings are like lenses that can colour our perception of the world. So practicing something like journaling might be a way that we can try on those lenses and practice feeling those feelings without judgment, and practicing not judging those feelings as well. Asking, ourselves a question, what is it about those different perspectives that allows us to have a richer or fuller life, or to create that? And of course, we know that all emotions are transient and they're recurrent. So just because we spend some time facing despair, for example, it's not then that we're never going to have to think about it again or have that feeling again. But if I guess the invitation is to allow ourselves to be with something like that, so that when it does come back as a feeling and it does return, it's more possible to greet it as if it's an old friend that we can sit with for a while, and we might even then have more capacity to ask, what does this feeling have to teach me or to tell me? Yes, and then if we're able to kind of use these tools for processing our feelings a little bit more, it might be then that we're also more resourced to be in relationship to other people, and that allows us to then receive the solace and support of community and participate in community more easily too. So we think that journaling is one of the ways that we can do that, and a course like this, or having a practice of journaling, is a commitment to being more fully present with life experience, and a place that we can build community from. Yeah, so that's just a little bit of a background. We are going to have a Q&A session, by the way, so there will be an opportunity to ask questions. I just want to talk a little bit more about the kinds of tools that we'll be using in the format. So as Indira already started to talk about, there are a few different components of the program that we're offering. One of them is a personal journaling practice, and that's something that we will send 3 prompts 3 times a week by email, and we'll send them at the same time every day, so you know when to expect them, and so that you know whenever it is that's easiest for you to do your journaling practice, you can fit that in around that. We want to make that as predictable as possible. And with those prompts, you're invited to use them in whatever way works for you. And there's different journaling styles that we can use. Some of you have journaled, anyone that's journaled before might have their own way of going about this, and it would be fine if that's the way you wanted to carry on. There's a couple of suggestions, like one of them is to keep your pen on the page. So even if you're thinking, not to move your pen off, just to keep writing as much as possible, or pausing with the pen there, and that just helps with the flow a little. You could use any of the prompts that we suggest, or just use one of them, and it might be, for example, that you just use one of the prompts and then use a strategy that we call questioning the question, which would be, so if the prompt was like something like, right now I feel, you might say, right now I feel really overwhelmed with what's going on. And then you might question, why do I feel overwhelmed? I feel overwhelmed because, and then whatever that is for you. So it gives you an opportunity to explore that a little bit more deeply. So it might be that you go a little bit deeper with one of the prompts, or use more of them. It would be entirely up to you. That's your own practice. It doesn't have to be at the same time as everyone else. We're going to have a little bit of an opportunity to play with that on the call now in a second. But I also want to talk about the other aspects of the course. We also will have an online platform where you will be invited to share your experiences of journaling, and I am now going to attempt to share the screen so that you can see what that looks like. Bear with me.
The platform is called Mighty Networks. It's a platform that Good Grief Network uses.
Is everybody able to see that? Yeah.
Yes.
So this would, if you signed up for our course, you would then be invited to join this platform. So here is a course community. There's nobody on it yet, so we haven't. Nobody's written anything. But this would be where you can share your reflections about your journaling. Here, there's a place where you can, where any course materials that we provide will be stored, so they're easy to access. This is featured and top posts. Also, we have a section here where there are members. The only members on there at the moment are Indira and I, Good Grief Network, and Laura Schmidt, who's the director of one of the directors of Good Grief Network. So that's how that looks, and this is where Indira said we would be monitoring this as well and contributing and participating, and we'll also be doing the journaling practice with you. So if I stop sharing that.
We'll also, I just want to add, we'll be posting information that you need to have, such as our community agreements, which we'll be emailing to you when you join, and any other information that you need regarding the course. So that would be the place where you look for things that are there consistently.
Thank you, Indira. Yeah. And then the other aspect of the course is the embodied journaling sessions, and we've put the dates already in the chat for that. If you signed up, you'd be sent one link, one Zoom link to join that, so it'll always be the same link. And we recognise that people aren't necessarily going to be able to attend all of those, but we really hope that whoever signs up will be able to attend a couple of them at least. And in those sessions, we are going to be, as well as journaling together with some prompts with a particular theme, we're also going to be doing some embodied practice, some grounding strategies. We'll be reading poetry. So the invitation is to kind of journal together, but coming from a very grounded place, coming from being in our bodies and meeting the feelings and the issues that we want to discuss in that way. There are also opportunities in that session for us to come into community and share what our experiences are verbally instead of on a platform. Okay, I think, should we have a little go at just give you some examples of what some prompts might be? And this is really there would be more to it. If we were in an embodied session now, we'd be doing a grounding practice first. We might have a poem, and then you'd be invited to journal with these things. But for now, just for today, we just want to give you just 5 minutes really to experiment with what it's like to use these prompts, and perhaps also using those ideas. If you like to, you're invited to use those ideas that we mentioned earlier. So one of them is to keep a pen on the page. The other one might be to question what comes up, question the question. And we're not going to share about our experiences of this today. This is just for you to kind of gently feel into how it is. So if you don't, it's all an invitation. If you don't want to do this practice, you can have 5 minutes to go and get a brew. But if you would like to, yeah, you'd be really welcome to. I would also ask, if you are able to put your camera on, sometimes it's nice when we're journaling, we invite people to have their cameras on so that we can all see that we're journaling together. That's what we would ask you in the embodied sessions. Today is just an info session, so it's not so important, but does that all make sense? Just give me a thumbs up if that sounds okay. Okay, I'll let you know. Go on, Indira.
I just wanted to say, and of course, if there's any reason why you cannot be physically present on screen, but you want to participate anyway, just remember that's all fine too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think they've come out in a slightly unusual way, not very clear. I might just do that again so that you can see the prompts more clearly.
Oh yeah.
Same thing. Can everyone see that? I'll say what they are. So the prompts are: right now I feel, what scares me most, my heart, or I am. So I'll give you until, we'll go to 37 minutes past the hour, and Indira and I will do that too.
We actually participate with you throughout the whole program. Okay.
It's just 1 minute left. Just drawing what you're writing to a close, noticing how that process has been for you. perhaps feeling your feet on the floor and reorienting to the core when you're ready. Thanks for giving that a go, everybody. I guess the other thing that I didn't say that's important for when we actually start, that's just to kind of give you an idea of what the journaling process is like. But if we were on the course, those prompts will be within the context of thinking about the climate and ecological crisis, and the way that we run those sessions and the way that it's kind of obvious, I hope, but just to state it in case it's not. Indira, are you going to say something?
Yeah, I think also there's room for prompts around the polycrisis in general. So we, at GGN are very dedicated to staying on top of the climate situation, and we're also opening to other issues around the world. So I think it'll be a mix of potential prompts about how we're coping with the world.
Yeah, there's an acknowledgement implicit in this that these crises intersect with each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. We would like to open the floor for questions if anybody has any at this stage. Anything that you want to check out before you get off the call today or isn't very clear, you're very welcome to ask and we will do our best to answer. Hi, Jackson, yeah.
I apologize that I had to drop earlier.
No.
And I'm sure everything you've been talking about has been important. Otherwise, you wouldn't have included it. But are there any critical points that I should understand that I may have missed in the past 15 minutes in terms of especially logistics, like how I sign up or things like that?
We haven't posted how to sign up yet, so that's okay. We talked about the Mighty Networks. Were you here for that? How the
Yes.
platform would work? Yeah, I'm just trying to work out whereabouts it was that you dropped off the call.
And you also have an opportunity to watch the recording, Jackson.
Oh, great. Okay, fantastic. Then I won't use more of your time.
Yeah, we'll be emailing you the recordings, everyone who showed up today, and everyone who signed up, who isn't here today.
So it's all there.
And if you don't see something or you haven't heard something and you think of it later, just reach out to the Good Grief Network. I'm sure there's a spot where you can ask questions regarding the journal, and refer to the email that you'll receive. You'll, I'm sure, be able to respond to that.
Monica.
Hi, thank you for doing this, first of all, and for being such a positive presence. Just the fact that you exist gives me hope. I have a question about how long the embodied sessions will be. And thank you for sharing the dates. I know I can't make at least one of them, perhaps two. So I know that's probably an important part of this whole process in building community. So if I'm not able to do it, I know you offer these opportunities at other times. Would you recommend I do a different session? I'm assuming you want people coming into it saying that they're going to be participating. So those are my questions.
Well, it's a really good question. They are intended to be an hour and a half long. And we aren't expecting that everybody will come to all of the sessions. We've deliberately put 4 of them in so that there's some choice. They're at different times, so that hopefully will allow more people to join in. So if you can make 1 or 2 of them, brilliant. But it's not, it's an extra thing to add to the kind of tapestry of what we're doing to weave in. But they're not compulsory, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, Monica, I don't think you need to worry about not being able to make 1 or 2 of these embodied sessions. Don't forget, we are also in touch with each other and available on a daily basis through the Mighty Network site, our private circle. And it's always an invitation to show up for the sessions. And so as Becky said, it's not at all a requirement. And everything that you do during this program is at your own pace, in your own time. And there are no requirements, to keep up with any prompts or, this is all our own personal journaling journey.
Does that answer your question, Monica?
You're on mute, Monica.
I'm struggling with the technology. I should have done this on my computer and I'm doing it on my phone, so I apologize. Yes, that answers the question, some of my questions. I'm curious too about how the sharing will manifest. Are we going to be reading from our journal? Is it going to be on the online platform? How does that look? Because I've never been part of a practice like this. I'm just curious about that.
Good question. Do you want to answer that, Indira, or shall I? I'm happy to.
Yeah, we both can. I'm sure we'll both have things to add to each other. Basically, you share what you want to share. You are not required to share anything. Like for instance, on the daily Mighty Network site, if I show up, if I feel uncomfortable one day, let's say I feel hopeless, I can share that if I want. If you want to share parts of what you've journaled, that's okay too. And you don't have to share. So, but we are a community that will welcome whatever you have to share. We're trying to create a safe place for us all to be authentic and to feel comfortable to share whatever we're experiencing within the realms of our group agreements. So you'll see that there are certain things that we expect of each other, certain ways of respecting each other. So everything is private. So on Mighty Network, it's just us, nobody else. And as I said earlier, we are not recording our embodied sessions. So whatever you express is, completely within the group. And it's a place where both places are where we can hold space and support each other. So, Becky, what have you got something to add? Maybe.
I think you probably said everything I was going to say. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Jackson.
Yeah. So Indira, when you were introducing the program, you said something about how this group is not attempting to dwell on heavy emotions and rather focusing on love and community building. And I forget what else you said, kind of more positive things. Right now, I'm certainly feeling extremely heavy. And I'm kind of wondering how to bridge. I don't think I'd be ready to come in and be bright and bubbly about anything. I hope to get there. So I'm not really sure how to bridge that gap and how to still feel comfortable sharing those heavy thoughts in that context.
So I probably did not say that well
Okay.
enough, because
Okay.
what I was trying to say is, you know, in general, we we want you to feel everything. We want you to express whatever it is you're feeling. Um, I think the key word there is dwell, because ideally, through a variety of programs that Good Grief Network offers, we're hoping to find resilience in ourselves. We're hoping to be able to find a place where we can use our energy in productive ways. However, all the feelings of desperation, hopelessness, heavy feelings are totally welcome, and are one of the reasons why we come together to share. It's not to share, happy faces, and like everything's all good in the world and I'm feeling great today. No, not about that at all. If you happen to be feeling great, that's okay too. But I don't know. Do you have something more to say about that, Becky?
I think that's it. Like, I suppose in terms of what you want, being comfortable with sharing what you're comfortable sharing, if that makes sense. So, in yes, so there's something about you said about bridging a gap there. And everybody's going to have a different tolerance of what's okay to be shared in community. And we hope that with the guidelines and the group agreements in place, there's one set of those for the online community and a different set for the embodied sessions, because they're going to be run in a slightly different way, obviously, because it's we're able to actually talk to each other. It's a verbal space. That people will feel like they know what the boundaries of that are, that it's confidential, and that it's going to be met without kind of people trying to fix that or offer advice, and that it's just a kind of this is a place where that you can say what your heart is feeling, and that's not necessarily going to be always the most straightforward or easy of things. And if at any point, like if there's stuff that starts to feel overwhelming for anyone, and we also have a resource list, because whilst this isn't a therapeutic group, there's some of the feelings that might be around for people, if they're so heavy you don't feel that it kind of able to kind of be with them in a community space like this, it might be that there's other support around that would be helpful as well. I'm not saying that, but I don't know where you're coming from with your question, but I think it's probably important to let people know that we're not offering a therapeutic space. We want people to share what they want to share, and there'll be other places and resources available that we can point people to if needed. Is there anything else that would be helpful to know following that question?
Well, I just want to add, from my own personal experience, that that journaling has helped me to examine, my feelings in the moment, and that I personally happen to love questioning the questions, because by questioning, what I've sort of written down, I come up with answers that I never could have expected, or I'll come up with something that I feel I need to investigate. So so even though this is not a therapy group, I have found that it is really therapeutic. And for me, being in the group, having a group of people who want to listen to whatever I have going on in my life in that moment, we're all here to listen to each other, to be present for each other, to hold whatever each of us has to share. And so for me, that's been a real positive experience.
We're hoping that the different elements of the course have they're holding in themselves. The personal practice, the sharing online, and the sharing in not in person but remote like this. What do we call this? Digital, verbal,
In person, virtually.
session, virtually. Is there anyone that hasn't asked a question that would like to ask anything before we close?
Okay. All right. So we can have a brief checkout, something that we like to do.
Just wondering, Harper, were you about to ask a question? No, okay, it's all right. Sorry, go for it, Indira.
Yeah, when we check out at Good Grief Network, we often like to give everybody an opportunity to share something depending on the time too. So right now I'm offering everyone an opportunity to check out with one word to express how you feel right now. And we can do this what we call popcorn style. So anyone who wants to start can just start. And I can give you an example. For instance, I'll start by saying, I feel hopeful.
Thanks, Indira.
I feel curious, intrigued.
Thank you, Monica.
Mhm.
Again, there's no requirement. So if you're not feeling like you have something you want to check out with, that's okay too.
Jessica's put something in the chat. Thank you, Jessica.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, you can put it in the chat also.
I have a weird headphone situation. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trying to start it. I just feel grateful.
thanks.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Harper.
I'm going to use two words because one just doesn't work. I somehow feel totally fractured and whole all at once, which is really crazy to feel.
Mm,
Thank you.
thank you, Jack,
Thank you, Jackson. I hear that.
and your daughter. Thanks. Jessica's also got a question. Jessica, I'll come back to that before we finish. One of us will come back to that. Anybody else want to check out?
Monica, did you raise your hand? No. Okay. All right. So do you want to answer Jessica's question, Becky? Or
Yeah, I'm going to post a link to the event itself, actually. Just wondering what payment methods you could use to check out with. I didn't get a chance to ask. I find a
I'm-
link to
yeah.
sign up.
When you go to the link to sign up, all of that information will be there. So I'm not sure, what they're using whether it's, also PayPal or credit cards or whatever, but it should all be pretty self-explanatory.
Okay. I just was wondering if you guys knew ahead of time because um it looks like you guys want to the amount paid all at once, so I would need to figure out what service to use for that.
Okay, plus we forgot to mention, and this is important, that those of you who showed up today, one of you is going to be eligible for a gift of the course. So I don't know how we forgot about that, but your names will be sent to the core team at GGN, and somebody will be selected. And there are a couple of gift options going on at Good Grief Network right now. And I don't want to forget to encourage you to go to the site. Even if you end up deciding you don't want to do the journaling program, we offer so many different options of things to take part in at Good Grief Network. So it's worth it to check that out. So if there are no more questions, I'm gonna end with a closing. So we thank you so much for showing up today for this info session. And again, I want to say it takes tremendous courage to look and feel the systemic predicaments that we're facing today. We hope you'll decide to go on this journey with us. It begins on Monday, May 6th. And at that time, you would get your first prompt, your link to Mighty Networks, our community agreements, and any other information. And we look forward to seeing what you have to say daily on Mighty Networks whenever you feel like posting something. We want to remind you that you're free to journal at your own pace and participate in this any way that suits you. But we're here for you. And we look forward to seeing you in the first embodied session, which will be, I think it's Friday. I said Friday the 10th. Yeah, Friday the 10th. But all that information will be there for you when you sign up. And in closing, another thing we like to do is read some poetry. So before we leave each other today, I have a poem by Rumi, and it's called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So thank you all, and we hope to see you.
you everybody for coming today. I have just posted the link to the sign up page if you do want to sign up. And I have also, and this next one that I'm about to put on is a link to Good Grief Network's Instagram page, where there are a lot of offers going on this week, including some spaces on this programme. I think there's also a book giveaway and another course, so do take a look at that.